In this cave, cave number 5 shows Vishnu in his Varaha Avatara, marking the beginning of the present Kalpa. The panel is located at the beginning of the passage and also faces east towards the rising sun. To the east of the passage, a modern road separates the hill and Varaha panel from another water tank that is still filled with water. The Varaha panel revealed traces of water marks around the base of the Varaha panel, showing that the feet of the god were once washed with water, creating a dramatic multimedia depiction to Varaha's cosmic act of rescuing Bhudevi, the goddess Earth, from the depths of the Sagra. Normally, when we see this panel, there are too many details in this panel. There are many things which the visitor normally misses in this panel. He stands like a majestic colossus with his bent left foot resting on the coils of the Naga Ananta in a great show of power and strength. The Nagas are emblematic of water, and Vara's submission of Ananta in this panel shows his complete command of the waters from which he has rescued the earth. The Vara panel is remarkable in that it has no major precedents. The visual form seems to have been drawn not just on the myths of the god, but also on the acts of the king of Chandragupta II. Here the Vara image can be seen as an allegorical representation of the king using Vishakadatta's play Devi Chandragupta. Like Vishnu, who rescued the goddess Earth from the depth of the ocean, so the king rescued Dhuruswamini from the hands of the barbarians. The conquest of Ananta can also be read as a political allegory in that the Nagas were one of the dynasties conquered by Samudragupta. The fact that the king is depicted on the large panels shows not just the importance of these images, but also the personal involvement of the Vara. The Vara visually divides the panel. Right are the figures of the king and the Naga. Bhudevi in the form of maiden hangs from the Vara's tusk and takes support from his left shoulder. The left hand of Vara rests on his thigh, his right hand rests on his waist. The pleats of his garments spread across the splayed legs. A large garland, Vanavala, hangs from his neck and touches his knees. There is a figure behind Nagraja. Chandragupta II is shown accompanied by his minister Sabhavir Sena, who stands beside him bearing a seal-like pendant around his neck. The whole bearing is royal, kneels with folds of his garments held in his right hand. Head and the left hand are missing. The figure is a large, like the Nagaraja, in comparison to the other figures on the scene. Only the elegant curls of his hair and the braided band across his left shoulders are distinguishable. The figure wears a dhoti, very stylishly tied at his waist with another braided band. He wears a necklace, solid round bracelet in his right hand. In his ears are circular Tantuka kundalas. The presence of rows upon rows of rishis and celestial beings standing on the either side of the mighty central figure of Vara create a very beautiful effect. The carving continues on the two side panels of the niche. There we find two river goddesses, Ganga and Yamuna, the earliest examples in the Indian art where the two rivers have been shown. Musicians and dancers accompany the goddess on their journey to the great sea below. The heavens are painted flying Gandharvas, while the watery Patala seems to be alive, swaying lotuses, shells and sea creatures. They symbolize the Indic heartland of the Gangetic Doab or Madhya standing on their respective Vahanas. Vehicles are set in the backdrop of wavy lines, symbolizing the water. The line runs vertically so as to depict the descent of Ganga and Yamuna to the sea. Across the lower part of the panel, the wavy lines run horizontally down to the base of the panel, which Varuna, the Lord of Waters, with the Vedic lore, is shown personified and holding a water pot. It had actual water on its foot at some stage of time. This watery world is alive with swaying lotuses, shells and sea creatures. It is possible that when these caves were built, there were actual lotuses growing in the Sagra, so there would have been a subtle blending of the relief sculpture and the landscape features. The size of the colossal Varaha is overemphasized by a smaller scale of the sages, Vasus, Adityas, Rudras, Narada, Shiva, Brahma, and Tumburu.